Spring playoffs begin next week and start the journey for teams to qualify for MSI. I'm making this video to summarize the pros and cons of these teams after watching all games during the regular season as we go into the playoffs. This year, we will have two LCS teams representing North America at MSI due to the dissolution of the America's Cup. LCS finals will be held at the Mullet Arena in Arizona, and if you guys are in the area, go buy tickets and show some love. I can promise, or I can't promise you, that you will have a great time. I will not be going because I live on the other side of Arizona. Literally live across the United States, so I'm sorry. But I'll be explaining everything you need to know about these teams, and so comment down the two teams that you think are going to be representing the LCS at MSI. I personally think it's going to be Lion and Sentinels, but let's see how it goes starting next week. After 7 weeks of games, Dig and Shopify are eliminated from playoffs. Okay, scratch that. I recorded this before Week 7 happened, so kind of thought Shopify was going to be eliminated. But let's get straight into the team breakdown. This team consists of Fudge, Contrax, Zinni, B-Voy, and Seos. And after watching 7 weeks of games, I literally cannot believe Shopify made playoffs over DSG. But whatever. Their games have looked very messy, but not as messy as Dignitas. Their games hurt my eyes, but they do win some games. And as in the games they do win, it's usually B-Voy and Contrax stepping up massively to find angles. The best player on this team, I personally think it's going to be Contrax. He makes some questionable decisions, but he's able to find miracle angles to win games. But in the end, they are usually very far behind to take advantage of the opportunity. And B-Voy is also another player on the team who has shined a lot on this roster, as whenever Shopify Rebellion play for him, they surprisingly win. Am I right? But now that we talked about the pros of the team, let's talk about the cons. Seos and Fudge have definitely been slumping, as it doesn't seem like they are on the same page with the team, from what I can see. As I can count 3 different times that he got caught out playing on Sentinels, and I can think of a time where Fudge stepped into a trap at Drake Soul, and then so they didn't have any like flank potential. Yeah, blah. All right, but they play very disconnected like they did last split. But I think after watching that Shopify versus DSG game, they are starting to play together more, and I personally think they have potential, but I don't know if they're going to change rosters in split 3 or split 2. I don't know what split we're on. But I personally think that they are still going to get 3-0'd by Team Liquid and Loud. But that's my opinion. At the bottom of the standings, we have Sentinels. Sentinels roster consists of Impact in the top lane, Hambach in the jungle, Darkwings in the mid lane, and Rahel and Huhi in the bot lane. The roster has surprised everyone, as they have already qualified for the EWC tournament, beating teams like FlyQuest, DSG, and C9 to get there, which is incredible. Just like how they did in first split and went to America's Cup. This team went 3-4. I have to actually check this real fast so that I know, because I wrote this in week 7 and not week 8. They went 3-4. Yes, they went 3-4 in their regular season. But don't let this score line distract you that they took a game off of each of the top 4 teams pretty convincingly, but just failed to close out the series. The most important player on this team, I believe, is Huhi, as his shot calls are the reason why they are able to end games and win these series. Impact on this team has been very exposed, but that's due to the draft shifting away from tanks and onto more bruiser type champs, which he needs to get better at. But this team can again theoretically upset and make it to MSI. It's just going to be a little bit harder because they are in the lower bracket, and similarly how they did with EWC. But in order for them to do that, they need to step up massively. I also really like how Rahel and Huhi play in the bot lane, and Darkwings, he's doing fine in the mid lane, gets diffed by APA, but this is a great team. Also, do not give Skarner to Hambach. This guy is a disgusting monster on that champ. In 4th place, we have FlyQuest, the Gen Z roster consisting of Gatghost, Griffin, Quad, Masu, and Cryogen. This team is bloodthirsty, as in every game they play, they usually have the highest kills in a game. And the engine behind this team is definitely Griffin, as he usually calls all the shots on this team, which is like usually really good. His shot calling is great. The team is great. The problem with FlyQuest is that the problem with FlyQuest, and the reason why they lose their games, is that they're super aggressive. They fight for everything. Objectives, Dragon, Scuttle Crab, Red Buff, Raptors. Literally, they can fight for anything, and that's the problem with them. They are super aggressive, fighting around objectives that they should not be fought because they either don't have priority in lane, or the champions they are using haven't scaled yet. But personally, this team is getting better with each and every game played. I personally don't think they're going to make MSI unless a miracle happens where Gatghost and I think it's Quad. I think actually Gatghost and Quad carry. But This team is really good. You shouldn't underrate them. Also, can we stop picking Jin for Masu?
As well, bot lane locked in for C9, and it looks like it's going to be answered by FlyQuest.
Of course, Masu wants to play Jin again. He always does this. He loves it.
Yeah?
He loves Jin.
It calls to him.
He's the Jin
Like
guy.
the green
The
guy.
champion does damage, sure. But Masu, please Masu, stop picking Jin. Please. In third place, we have Team Liquid. Team Liquid is what everyone considered as a super team, as they have basically the best players considered in the region, with Morgan in the top lane, Jose Diodo in the jungle, Quid in the mid lane, and Yan and Core JJ in the bot lane. The most consistent player on this team that I have watched definitely goes Jose Diodo, as especially when he is on Lee Sin. I personally did not think Lee Sin was going to be good in LCS, basically. In LCK, sure, owner picks it. Yeah, it's a masterclass, absolute center. But in LCS, we have no good Lee Sin players until Jose Diodo came around and absolutely diffed like every team I saw him play on. And so I just think it's a perma ban now, but not in game 1 or 2. If he picks it in game 1 and 2 with like Xin Zhao or Javeron, like I think it's just in. But as a pocket pick when those junglers are gone, then yeah, lock it in. Yan and Core JJ, from what I've been observing, have been struggling in the bot lane in laning phase. But once laning phase is over, they are kind of totally different players. But Yan and Core JJ have been like suffering a lot in the laning phase, and that's why I personally don't think they're gonna make MSI. I think they're gonna place 4th place in playoffs. So yeah, but once they are out of laning phase, Core JJ sets up amazingly. I saw Yan get diffed by Berserker in the Lion series, but that's really unlucky. That's just unlucky. Yan and Core JJ are still amazing players, and so. But during around team fights and objectives, Quid and Core JJ are just play so well. These guys, this team is a team fighting team, and they just play so well until they had to play against Cloud9. I don't know what happened in that series. They looked like a bunch of chickens without their heads on, and yeah. But if Quid and Core JJ are able to set up Jose Diodo and Yan to carry team fights, this team wins games. They do have some problems. I've already stated, Yan and Quid lose lane, but Quid plays more tank-oriented supportive mid laners like Annie, Galio, and Yone. And as against Lion, it's just really hard to win if you're playing against Lion, as Berserker and Isles stomp Yan and Core JJ in the bot lane, and it's led to Saint and Berserker cleaning them up by Drake, and they need to improve about their laning phase if they want to make it MSI. But besides that, Team Liquid are a good team. Could make MSI as a 2nd seed, but I don't see them going as a 1st seed. I personally think they're going out at 4th. So yeah. In 2nd place, we have Lion. Lion was the team that went to first stand, and they have kind of kept the same form as they did in the first split, but the only thing that has changed was them bringing in Castle as a sub for Dokla. Castle was a very dominant top laner on DSG, as he almost always won lane and had huge engages to help them win. But he's not had a lot of time to shine on Lion due to him joining nearly at the end of the split or regular season. So I'm kind of on and off. I don't think he's a bad player on Lion, but most of the time, he always loses when he subbed in. I just assume he's not really connected or played with the team for a long time, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he'll get better by next split. That is if Lion don't drop him, but I personally think that this team will make MSI as the 1st seed, as they have destroyed every single team in the LCS besides Cloud9, which they seemed a little exhausted and didn't play like how they usually play. They also have to work. They also have to improve upon working together with Castle better, because it's very questionable on what he's thinking with the rest of Lion. So, but. Yeah, the only reason I see Lion losing is because Dokla falls behind early, which is why Dokla has been playing Anivia top, is to help him win lane. Same with Castle, because I've seen him play the Rise top, the Yorick top, help him win lane instead of losing lane, which causes problems for the rest of the team. Because Inspired likes to play methodical League of Legends, very scripted, very very noteworthy, very by the book, and so yeah. I can see Lion just making 1st place, though. I don't think they'll have any struggle besides with Cloud9. And if Cloud9, especially Blabber, is on a good day, then that's the only reason they lose. In 1st place, we have Cloud9. Cloud9 look how they usually do going to playoffs, as they have finished with a perfect regular season with no series dropped. But some of their losses have looked a little scary, as they dropped a game to FlyQuest, Sentinels, and Dignitas. This team consists of Thanatos, Blabber, APA, Sven, and Vulcan, and Blabber has looked on and off recently and is usually the reasons why they lose games, but I can think of multiple major blunders that each team or each player on the team has done that cost them a game. This team can have some problems with macro, as they think they win something. As around Baron Pit, I don't know what team it was, I'll just show the clip, but they got Baron and they decided to force a fight instead of just leaving. And that just resulted in their entire Baron buff being gone. I think it was against FlyQuest, but this team is really good, as Thanatos is the most dominant player in the LCS, winning lane like basically all the time unless he's playing tank into Rumble, where Rumble will just have an advantage. And Blabber, I even though he makes a bunch of mistakes, I think he is the best jungler in the LCS right now, or not the most consistent. I don't think the most consistent would go to Inspired, but he's just the best in his role in the LCS when he's on. When he's off, he looks horrible. APA has been playing a more supportive role with like mages like Orianna, Annie. He's been doing great, as every time he dies, he capitalizes on it, allowing his team to get like an objective or something. And it's really incredible. I think he's doing really well on Cloud9 instead of Team Liquid. And Sven and Vulcan, I don't think Sven is the best AD carry in the league, but he is performing well. As long as it's not Berserker, he can perform really well. And Vulcan, I think Vulcan's the best LCS support. This guy is incredible. I don't know if you guys saw a stat line of going like 24-0 over the course, or 24 KDA. It's incredible. But yeah, I personally think Cloud9 will make MSI, but as a second seed. I don't see them winning the split. But yeah, those are my pros and cons about the teams. But anyways, let's talk about the series we have coming up this weekend. The first series on Saturday is FlyQuest versus Cloud9, and this will be a very interesting series, as all eyes will be focused probably on the jungle between Blabber and Griffin. Griffin had an amazing weekend last week, being Lion, and so if he can keep up the same form, I theoretically think they could beat Cloud9. But we need Cloud9 to choke if we want them to do that. And Cloud9 always chokes in playoffs. I think the last international they went to was Worlds 2023. I could be wrong, though. We don't count EWC because that's not really affiliated with Riot. But Cloud9 should beat FlyQuest 3-0, maybe 3-1, if Griffin pulls out a pocket pick like he did against Inspired in Game 3. But yeah, there's no way Cloud9 win unless they choke, which they won't. Probably. But the second series we have this weekend is on Sunday with Team Liquid versus Lion. I think everyone believes that Lion will win the series, but I think it'll be very close. It won't be one-sided, as I think it's going to all 5 games. I think all eyes on this game will be in the bot lane between Berserker and Yon, as Berserker has been, or not Berserker, but Yon has been underperforming in my opinion, and he got diffed in those 3 games against Berserker in the regular season. So I'm waiting to see if he can make a comeback and beat Berserker this series. You know, it could be against Jose Diota Inspired, but I think Jose Diota is going to be dominating Inspired most of the series. But I'm going to have my eyes on the bot lane and see if Yon can step up and carry Team Liquid to beat Lion. For the lower bracket, I believe Sentinels will play the loser of Cloud9 versus Fly, and Shopify Rebellion will play the loser of Lion versus TL. And if FlyQuest lose against C9, then I do believe Sentinels will beat FlyQuest, as Sentinels did beat them in the regular season. And I just have this gut feeling that Sentinels have FlyQuest already figured out. So I'll give like Sentinels 3-0, Sentinels 3-1. I just don't see FlyQuest winning. If it's Cloud9, it'll be close. It'll probably be like 3-2, Cloud9 win over Sentinels. And for the Shopify Rebellion series versus, I assume, Team Liquid, either way, I don't see Shopify Rebellion getting a single game win over any of them. So yeah, 3-0 for both of them. That's it from me, though. It's kind of my first time doing one of these videos, so I have a lot to improve on. I usually do short form content for TikTok and Instagram Reels, So I'm not really used to making these drawn out videos of analysis. And I have to work on my mic quality and my word choice that I use because I can't just be saying and all the time. So that's why I have a script, but I usually just improvise sometimes because the script sounds too robotic, and I want you guys to hear my actual opinion out of this. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I might be back for recaps, making videos on recaps to help branch out from making small reels. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.